for what it feels like, I feel like the Star Wars medium is at a hard time right now. And I feel like making a Mandalorian and Grogu movie is in the same vein of Maul Shadow Lord. There's fun to be had. There's something cool here to be had. There's things I do enjoy, from a aesthetic design to production design to character animation and certain things. But ultimately, I feel both Maul Shadow Lord, both Maul Shadow Lord and Mandalorian and Grogu suffer in the same fate. I like what I'm seeing. I'm intrigued by but ultimately, I feel like the Star Wars medium isn't really going anywhere. It's because of this that it feels like the Star Wars franchise, it feels like it's treading water. I feel like both Mandalorian and Grogu and Maul Star Lord have something interesting to have, but for me, it represents a real flaw with Star Wars right now. It feels like we're treading water. We don't know where the hell these stories are going. We want to have these faces of Star Wars, Mandalore, Maul, Grogu, Ahsoka, and Ezra, and all these other characters in the modern lore right now, or modern canonization of Star Wars, but it feels like we're going nowhere. It feels like the shows are feeling one and the same. Maul Shadow Lord, as an animated show in itself, like this is a review of both because I watched last week. Like there's more intrinsically here on paper, on a craft level and everything in my mind, but I feel like it's a cooler experience and there's more going on, and Sam Witwer is clearly giving more of a passionate damn behind it rather than John Favreau or Dave Filoni is doing with Mandalorian and Grogu, which for me feels like a movie that is truly, like in Star Wars terms, it's on autopilot. It's just on a middling scheme. It's like, okay, it wants some fun here. There's good production design and some structural approach to this I intrinsically do see. But man, do I feel like, again, we're just treading water. There's nothing here that's really challenging the lore. They want you, there's plot, but there's no real story. There's things that are happening, but that doesn't affect their characters. Same thing with Maul, Shadow Lord. But my problem with Maul Shadow Lord is that I don't think Maul is meant to be a protagonist in the same essence or vein of it. He works far better as an antagonistic force. And I wish the series of itself, though really fun and probably technically better overall, I feel like at its very is just not really working as it should. He's a villain, but he's trying to be the mold of. Also, as much as I could clearly see Star Wars not wanting to lose such a talented actor like Sam Witwer, who's clearly giving his all, whole heart and everything. He's a fan who's a part of the lore and everything, but it's clear that they don't want to let him go because they won't. But here's the problem with this: his character's already dead. He died he died in Rebels years ago, and now we're feeling in the gap of what will happen in between, after Rebel, like what happened to his death in Rebels, and what happens with the Siege of Mandalore and the Clone Wars, and it feels like we're just feeling in air. We're not really going on a true journey with these characters. It feels like we're going on an adventure with these characters, but there's nothing here that really evokes who they are. Same thing with Mandalorian and Grogu. It's like, oh, they want to bring up the idea that this is a relationship that may not last forever and everything, but then it tosses these ideas aside and just goes on a much more atypical swashbuckling story. And I see when the movie wants to have it both ways, and there's things here that I do intrinsically enjoy. As I say, good production design, there's good monster designs, there's action scenes here that do work, but also as a first Star Wars movie in 7 years, it isn't offering anything new or intrinsic or fascinating. Again, a Star Wars movie should feel like an event, but it feels episodic. This Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't feel like season 1 or 2 at its reigning prime. It feels like another, I won't say a bad episode of season 3, but it feels like another generic episode of season 2. It feels like it's just treading water, and they don't want to challenge the innate phases of Star Wars. They want to have Star Wars feels like they want to have these mascots, but he failed to understand what makes them beat at their heart, what challenges them, what pushes them forward, or makes them intriguing or fascinating. And Star Wars is just playing it safe. If to compare Star Wars to another franchise I love, it feels like Gears of War. I just don't know what's happening right now. It feels like you're in limbo, and it takes no intrinsic enjoyment or wanting an ability to push forward with this. I just don't know what Star Wars wants to have. And because of that, it's just like Star Wars feels episodic. With all the shows, and granted, I've only seen, Maul, Shadow Lord and or Mandalorian, and I haven't seen like other shows because of that. But my big problem here is that it feels episodic. It feels like another episode, but you gotta give something more on the bone. And the movie, this of Mandalorian and Grogu, wants to feel like this movie is a transactional point from season 3 to season 4, but it's not challenging anything. It's just another repetitionalized episode. And just like with the Star Wars Clone Wars movie back in 2008, or 7, I forget what year they came out, you can kind of tell when this show is, when this movie feels more episodic by structure and everything. And the movie Maul Shadow Lord has all the intrinsic good ingredients to make something here, but it's just leading this nowhere. And the new characters I enjoy. The fights and the story what's going on has something on merit alone to really functionally ride it through. But again, in my mind, it feels like we're treading water. There's nothing here that's wanting to challenge these characters. Maul is just overplayed as hell. And for me, I'm just left wondering, what is Star Wars wanting to challenge itself, or just play it safe forever? Because at some point, it will lose steam. Baby Yoda will no longer be cute. He's just a gimmick. A lot of people like to point out back in the day of like 2017, be like, oh, well, look at Baby Groot. He was just me. At least Baby Groot had an actual arc in Guardians 2. Where in this, there's nothing intrinsic at hand. There's nothing engaging at hand. It's just not wanting to challenge itself. It's just by the book, generic, standard, and it's just so average. I made a mistake by recording outside, but in my view, whatever. But as a whole, I feel very, what are we doing here, Star Wars? What are we doing? Do you want to challenge yourself? It's just nothing intrinsic at hand, and it feels very atypical. If you want to take a generic sci-fi movie to shut your kids up, Jesus Christ, to shut your kids up for like 2 hours, whatever, fine, but it's just not here. Star Wars is in a back to tank, and it's either eternally at sleep or, in my view, just pull the wire. And because of that, I'm really found myself floundered and frustrated, and more of all, just, I don't know where the hell Star Wars wants to take itself. It just feels another very, very flat. And for me, I'm just taking my EU material and wanting to go home. Mandalorian Grogu, I give it a 5 out of 10. Maul Shadow Lord, I give it a 6.8 out of 10. I'm just walking away from Star Wars for good now. I'm done. I'm done with Star Wars canon. Bye.